Good morning. Welcome to April's episode of The Flip Side. Today I will be interviewing Vernestine Laughinghouse of Absoulute Organizing Solutions. Sorry, Vernestine. Vernestine is not only an accredited professional organizer with a designation, she also has certifications in professional business organizations and personal organization. Isn't that correct, Vernestine?
So it's Certified Professional Organizer, Certificate in Business Organizing and Residential Organizing. They said be very specific on certificate. I am a certified professional organizer.
And I want to stress the importance of working with somebody who's certified as well, because anybody can go out and just say they're an organizer and not necessarily do the work and show that they have the years of experience needed to become certified, correct?
Correct. And, take the wonderful certification test. So, yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's a great segue. Would you mind just explaining a little bit what a professional organizer does and how it's different from somebody who's, let's say, a housekeeper or an interior designer?
So, as a professional organizer, there are many things that we do. But what we do at Absoulute Organizing Solutions, we help our clients create systems and processes that they can follow over and over again. So we like for them to create an intentional home as we go through the process of getting organized. And with an interior designer or a cleaning service, we can partner with them. Some organizers are interior designers also, so we have a varied background as professional organizers. I'm not an interior designer, but other organizers are. So you may meet an organizer and say, oh, I do design, I do colors, and I do all of that. But we don't all do it. So we can partner with them, we can partner with a cleaning service, we can partner with an interior designer. Now when we finish helping someone get organized, it will look cleaner because everything has a home. It's not all over the place.
And I like what you said about just building the habit and helping people create an intentional. Everything has a place, right? And it's not in a perfect world. It's not you set it up and you have to come back 6 months or a year later. You're giving people the tools, correct?
Correct. So we give them the tools, and some clients will follow them. Some say, I'm not going to, you need to come back. I'm not going to. And that's perfectly fine because we all have different personalities and we all have different demands on our lives. So some clients, if you just create that system, they will follow it. And it may not be perfect, but they can follow it. So professional organizing for me is a natural skill, so I would never expect my client to have everything the exact way I left it when we finished the project.
Because they have to make it their own. I mean, I would think, and I compare it to a financial plan. So when I give somebody a financial plan, I'm giving them the groundwork of how to become successful. And it sounds like you're doing something very, very similar, where when you, and I've seen this in my own life, sometimes things just get so overwhelming, you get to the point where I don't even know where to start. I just want somebody to come in and give me a starting point and give me some tools to use and let me tailor it. Is that pretty accurate?
That's accurate. And we try to design systems and processes on the client, based on the client's personality, their natural ability or their natural skills also. So if they're visual, we create a system that's visual. And we might create something that they say, that would never work for me. So then we say, okay, let's come up with something else. So we're always thinking about them as an individual or them as a family or them as a business. They're always there, how they like things. That's very important as we create this system.
Now, habits take time, right? To build good habits, it's not one and done. Right. And I really like the idea that you help people where they are. So if they're visual learners, you give them visual cues. If they're more tactile, you respond to that. And I think that's important because people are going to remember based on how they learn. And if you meet them where they are, they're going to remember it better. But it does take time. So how do you build those habits with them? How do you get it to stick?
Well, part of working with them, you learn a lot about them and how they do things. And I always welcome my client to say to me, I will never do it this way. I would never stick to that. And that's how we kind of work with them to say, okay, this is how they do it. They give us some guidance on how they like things, but after working with them a little while, I can get a feel for their personality. Their do's or don'ts, I can get a feel for it. So it's part of that feeling their comments about what they like and what they don't like, and just trying to make that system simple for them. So if you make it simple, they're more likely to follow the system. I mean, like I have a client who now will put her towels in the right place in her linen closet, which she didn't do before. But it's because now she has an intentional home for it. So she can go in that closet and say, hey, this is where this is supposed to go. And she puts things right where they're supposed to go.
And it doesn't require any extra thought. She doesn't have to think about it. She doesn't open the closet and it's just full of stuff. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to put it over here because I don't want to deal with that.
Right. Correct. Mm-hmm.
How long does a process like this take? I mean, it seems like it could take a little bit.
It could. It depends on the amount of, and I'm going to say things. It depends on the amount of things. It depends on what's going on with the client. I mean, think if you've been bringing stuff in your house for 15, 20 years and never taken anything out, then definitely it's going to take a little longer than a person that say, I just need a better system. So it really depends on the size of the job, the time frame of the client, and how open they are to the suggestions.
And for me, I've had people approach me because maybe mom or dad passed away and they left them a storage unit that they don't want to get rid of the stuff, but they don't really know where to put it in their house.
Right.
Or maybe mom and dad aren't getting around as well as they used to, and they need to make room in the house, because maybe one of them's in a wheelchair now or something. Is there a scope that's too big, too small for you? Are you willing to work with them on just one room, or does it have to be like a whole house thing? Can you kind of give us a feel for what type of jobs your organization specifically would take on?
Right. So we don't mind small or large. It could be one area. It could be an entire house, as long as they're patient and know that it's going to take time. So we work with seniors to downsize. We do closets, we do basements, we do file systems. We also work with businesses. We coordinate moves. We do that whole move management piece.
Oh, wow.
So for me, I like to do a lot of different things. And in that lot of doing so many different things, I learn a lot about the person and how things should work for individuals. So I know that when you're working with a senior, it takes a little more patience and flexibility, but that's fine with me because I don't like to rush. So I enjoy it. And when you're working with a busy professional, you might have to make more decisions because they're not going to have the time to sit and work with you as much as a senior who's not working anymore.
So it's a lot. To me, it sounds, if I'm hearing you correctly, Vernestine, it sounds like you measure bandwidth, how much availability somebody is to be present with you. I know, speaking for myself, I'm very guilty of, I don't have time for that. I don't want to worry about it. Just
right.
Make a recommendation. I'll go with whatever you recommend. I just don't want to deal with it.
Right.
Can you kind of walk me through, let's say I hire you and I have a house full of just knickknacks I've accumulated. Well, here's a good example. When my wife died,
Mm-hmm.
I had a house of a lot of stuff that she had collected and I didn't really know what to do with.
Right.
And it took me several years to go through it. I still have stuff that I'm not ready to get rid of.
Right.
But some of it, and that's more of a sentimental reason than anything else. But some of the stuff was, I didn't want to use it, but I didn't know where to put it.
Right.
Can you kind of walk me through how you would, onboard me, for lack of a better term? Just take me through your process, help me understand what I would have experienced.
Okay. So initially, we do an initial consultation. So when doing the consultation, we ask a lot of questions about what's going on. How did it get there? How you feel about, like you said, they have sentimental value. Well, they have sentimental value. Okay, what items maybe you're ready to say, okay, I can let them go, or if they just need to go somewhere in the house, then we try to find a good place, a good home for them. So we do a consultation, and part of that consultation is for the two of us to meet, but also for us to have a conversation about how you want to go forward. Yes, I know you want to get organized. Because that's why you call. So I get that. But in that getting organized, where how do we start creating that system? How do we start thinking about it? I give some suggestions then, and like if you say, and I'm going to use paper because that's something that I see a lot. I have all of these papers everywhere. I might say, how far do they go back? How many years do they go back? What type of papers do you have? Because at that point, I'm not actually looking through it. I'm not starting the process. So what type of papers? Are they bills? Are they tax paper? What type of papers do you have? Um, I look around at the space so I can start thinking about where are we going to store these? Or do you want to maybe not store them in a paper format, but in electronic format? So we start thinking about that system even during the consultation. But the purpose is for us to have that conversation about where you're at, what you want, what's going on. Do you just enjoy shopping? What's going on? That's just our chance to meet and my chance to have that conversation with the potential client.
So it doesn't sound like you're focused on let's just get rid of stuff because you have too much stuff. It sounds like you're asking your client, what do you want to do? Are you attached to these items? If you're attached to them, let's find a place for them. In terms of the paperwork, let me help you understand how long you should keep things. If you're keeping it just because you don't know, but if you're keeping it because you need that security blanket, maybe we can put it digitally and you still have it.
So it's about the space and how much space do you have? Do you even have space to store all of these items? Usually I get a call because you don't have, because there's not enough space anymore. Um, and the focus, and when I say this is how I operate. The focus isn't just about getting rid of stuff, but that is a part of the whole process of getting organized, decluttering. The reason you're in that position to even call usually has to do with I have too much stuff. And in that too much stuff, there's always things that you're not using anymore, you don't love, you don't care about it. And so we do want you to get to the point that you only using items, you're only keeping items that you can use, love, and need to get to within a few seconds.
Okay. And how long do you normally work with somebody? Because it seems like it would take a little while for people to be like, okay, I'm ready to give this up. Or maybe not. I mean,
Well, it depends on the person because usually why are they calling me? They're calling me because they're overwhelmed and they have way too much stuff. But um, there's not an average number. It could take years because remember it depends on how the client makes decisions. It depends on the size of the job. It could and how often you work with them. I might only work with them once a month. So I have to be flexible in their time schedule and maybe even their physical ability to do it. So that depends. It could take a long time. And what we do is one project at a time. we're not doing this space today and the next space another week. We work on the same space so we can see progress. That's important. It's very important that we see progress as we go through. So the time, I kind of say it depends on the client.
That's fair, and that makes a lot of sense. And I know personally, I enjoy and I believe in celebrating small successes and celebrating every victory. Part of that comes from having a child with a disability, mm-hmm. and just seeing every little milestone, making a big deal out of it. And I've found that it works for me, and I think it would work for your clients. And it sounds like you're probably helping your clients acknowledge that yes, and you have a dining room that was just chock full of stuff, and now you have one corner that's clear, but you have a corner that's clear. You didn't have that before. Right.
One of my favorite quotes, and I'm quoting for my own self, is we celebrate what we do accomplish. I never leave a client and them saying, oh, I wish we had done more. I said, oh, we celebrate what we do accomplish, because we're going to accomplish something every time we work together. We're going to accomplish something. I feel that's the purpose of the organizer. I feel like the purpose of the professional organizer is to make sure the work gets done.
I like that. And just in closing, because I did focus very, very heavily on individuals, and you are an organizer for businesses as well. Is there a size of business that you typically work well with, say less than 25 employees, or could you kind of just give me a brief rundown of what's different for the business and what types of things you work on with the business besides the move?
Well, with the business, they're going to have some different things than an individual would have. So we might work on their supply closet, their file room, helping create a corporate-wide filing system, downsizing their file room. They in a business, they also are very busy and don't have time to go back there putting things in the file, but nothing's leaving. So looking at their file system and creating a system based on their record retention schedule. So, it's important that they have a record retention schedule so we have something to go by and that's legal. And we could work on their department. Sometimes a department has items that's everywhere. We've done work with the vice presidents of companies, so you can still work with the individual. So the size doesn't matter, and it does. So it depends on what needs to be done. Because you can do one person at a time, one department at a time.
I see a lot of value with the clients I'm working with the small business owner, mm-hmm. that is so busy and so focused on growing their business, mm-hmm. that a lot of this other stuff is just kind of falling by the wayside. And not because they wanted to, it's just they don't necessarily have the bandwidth. Mm-hmm. And when you own your own business, you have to watch your fees. So owning a storage unit for stuff, yes, it's not cost effective. And bringing you in to say, look, you really don't need this. A lot of this can go digital. Yes. Let me help you get this set up. And then once it's set up, all you have to do is maintain it. And it's a lot easier to maintain than establish, right?
Right, it is. And definitely, like you say, you have to watch your fees. So if there is a storage unit, we're definitely going to look at that storage unit and say, hey, how can we downsize it? Because we have worked with clients that even in a business, where they went to a much smaller unit. They didn't want to go electronic. They didn't want it. But what was happening? They were just putting the boxes in there, but nothing was coming out. So again, it's based on their record retention schedule, because even as a small business, we are still responsible for the paperwork that we have to keep.
Right, and the worst thing that I've seen, and I may or may not have been guilty of this, is putting stuff in boxes and not putting a date on it. So you don't even know.
Right.
You're like, I think that's my 2015 file, but I don't know.
Right.
People just putting a date on it. So to your point about the record retention, you know what year it is.
Yes, right. Yes. So labeling is important. That's part of the process of getting organized. Part of the process of getting organized is labeling, and whether they're files or a closet, we still need labels. So that's part of knowing where to get something when you need it. So you can just look at the basket or the box or the file and say, hey, here's the 2015 taxes.
Exactly. I really appreciate you taking the time today, Vernestine. Is there anything that I should have asked you and I didn't, or any last little things, any tidbits of advice for the viewers?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. We're not here to judge. We're just here to help you. So don't be afraid to ask for help. If you need it, ask, and it's okay to get help. It's okay to ask. It's okay to get help.
I think that's a great mantra to live by. And on that, I have nothing to add.
All right.
So, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.